If you're ready, are you ready?
I'm ready. Yep.
Okay, thanks. Didn't even ask. Hold on.
I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens.
All right, everybody, check it out. The new graphic up there. Forgot to take that down. Doesn't matter. It is fall. It was cool outside this morning when we went to church. I was like, oh my gosh, I should have even worn shorts. I could have got away with a hoodie. Almost. It was only 80, But it's fall. It's cool outside. Even though my Crimson Tide is making me cry a little bit, still my team. Still bleed crimson. It is ghost time. That's why we've had a rash of paranormal investigators on lately. And I know it's a mostly Bigfoot podcast, but I just can't stop talking about ghosts this time of year. I got the candles behind her. The candle on that dollar makes me just want a pumpkin spice latte so bad. And but welcome back to the Caffeinated Cryptid podcast. Check out the my giant banner for my trade shows I'm going to. That thing is pretty impressive. It's like a monolith 2001 Space Odyssey happening back here. It's bigger than it looks. I mean, this sucker's 7 feet tall.
I like it.
Yeah. So I invite everyone to subscribe. And field note, I'm going to add something to the announcements. October 21st, and you may be going too, Ashley. I'm going to be at a vendor booth, nothing special, not a speaker, at the Tennessee Haunts and Legends Expo in Nashville. And I have 60 cat balls given away for free. Come by my booth and give me a YouTube subscription. You can get a free cat ball.
Oh, those are
they work too. I've been testing them. I said, if this sucker lights up when this thing goes off, I'm going to throw it away. I'm burning the house down.
Fun.
I know, I've got a bunch of them. I spent $100 on cat balls. Also, I've got for people to come by, the kiddos, I got 500 horror movie stickers.
Oh,
this is just one pack of it. But anyway, yeah, that's going to be Tennessee Haunts and Legends Expo, Nashville Fairgrounds, October 21st. It's the day of the Alabama-Tennessee game, so don't come by talking too much smack. And yeah, we'll be there. A bunch of my guests I've had on here will be on there. I haven't checked if Ashley's there. She may not.
But I will not, unfortunately.
Yeah. It'll be fun. You're in Virginia or Ohio?
I'm in Ohio.
Ohio. Okay. Yeah. I saw the zips on there, but I couldn't find the actual location. I knew Candy was in Virginia.
Yeah, she's in Virginia, and I'm in like more toward Cleveland, Ohio, so northern east area.
Living in sin with a safety pin.
Is that what they say about Ohio?
Yeah, Cleveland, Ohio. That's the Drew Carey theme song.
Oh yeah, I forgot he did that here.
So Ashley is Ashley Marie. Is it Moreno or Moreno?
Moreno.
Moreno. Okay, because it wasn't spelled like Moreno. But paranormal investigator, host of Realm of Darkness podcast over on WLTK-DB Public Radio. Yep. Also, co-founder and lead investigator Beyond the Dimensions over on Paraflix. That's kind of like the Tubi of paranormal stuff.
It is right now.
A little bit better than Tubi. A lot of people. Daniel Benoit's on there. A lot of people I've had on here is on there.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of shows on there right now, and I mean a lot of really good shows, good quality content. So.
Which is odd for. Well, it's not free, is it? I was going to say it's odd for free stuff, but no, it costs a little bit.
It does. I think it's about $3.99, like $3.99 a month, or I think $39 for the whole year. But a lot of the different shows give out like promotional codes where you can get 25% off for the year. I know we have one for Beyond the Dimensions, and it's not too bad because it has a ton of content on there, and it covers anything and everything paranormal, not just ghosts. So.
And your promotional code is BTD25. Bravo Tango Delta 25.
Yes.
I was looking at that.
Yep, and that'll give you 25% off for the whole year. So
boom. That's like $1.50.
Then you can actually watch the original episodes of Beyond the Dimensions before the new ones come out.
Mm-hmm. What is the house you go to on Beyond the Dimensions with the little screened-in porch?
Oh, the very first one we went to was Hinsdale.
Yeah. And that's the one I was talking to Candy about.
Yes, that I don't think she's been there yet. That's probably one of my favorite locations. I've been
Mhm.
there, I think, about 5, 6 times because it never disappoints. Never.
Did you know in Cohocton, New York, there's a house that looks just like that.
Oh,
It's called the
really?
Ansdale House, and I got so confused because I had a guy on here talking about it. I'm
Is
like,
it
that's not
haunted
the same.
too?
Hmm. It's just,
Oh,
it looks, it's almost identical. It has like the front room, that's one
Mhm.
story, and then it goes and it has a little screen in porch up front, and it goes like a bigger that how older you do know how the older houses are like the size of a model home, but
Yes.
15 people live there. That's the
Yeah.
creepiest. Like how no wonder Lizzie Borden killed her whole family.
I don't know how people do it
That
because
was a 400 square foot house.
I I know Hinsdale, they had like 4 or 5 kids,
Hmm.
and the amount I don't think I could like, my spouse and I would kill each other in a house like that.
Hmm. In all the downtown areas around here, Huntsville, back home in Scottsboro, I'm in Huntsville, Alabama. You walk in and it's just this little room.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, they say the ghost of the place walks in. Where does it walk? There's no space.
they just pace back and
It's
forth.
no wonder everybody was so angry back then. That's why there's no ghost. That's why we don't see modern ghosts in these new buildings because they're so big.
But you can't
Just
find them.
yeah, they're in the stairwell.
They're just hiding out in like all the
Yeah.
extra rooms.
Oh, that's so scary when you walk in with that. You walk in and see the little claw hammer handled couches and that weird wallpaper.
Oh, see, I think it's really cool. Like, I love
Oh, it's
Victorian
cool.
homes,
Definitely cool.
and it's like stepping back in time. I think it's really
Mhm.
cool. We just don't have quality furniture like that anymore, I don't think.
No, no, ours is get it off the internet, stick it up. Just
Amazon.
comes with free tools.
Yeah, exactly.
I was in two places yesterday in Lynchburg, Tennessee. The old Miss Mary Bobo's house, and it looked a lot like what I was just described. I took a bunch of pictures. I was like, haunted or not? I was like, it's totally haunted.
Don't some houses just have that look to them where you're like, "There's something there. There
You
has to
can tell it.
be."
And Miss Mary Bobo lived to be 102 years old. Ran the place with an iron fist and a black snake whip, and just her pictures in every room. She's scowling. It reminds you of Zool from Ghostbusters too. Just
Yeah.
that one dude in every room. And I'm like, this place is haunted by her. So help me God.
Well,
Like,
102. Oof.
yeah. And she was married too. She's a spinster. So imagine that guy.
Oh gosh.
The story with her husband is he was a drunk. I'm like, I bet. I bet he was.
Well, yeah, you have to be almost.
But the funny thing is, they serve this home style meal like Cracker Barrel, like souped up Cracker Barrel food. Like I'm Southern, and so I was like, yeah, I'll go. And it's up by the Jack Daniels distillery, about an hour away. And they tell you history of the town and history of the place and all that. I'm like, wow. And I asked them if it was haunted. They're like, I don't know. I'm like, yeah, I'm not the first guy that walked in this building and asked if it was haunted.
Yeah.
Why is that not on the card somewhere? And then
And do
you go
some
on card.
people do some people because I know some locations like they won't advertise it as haunted.
Mhm.
Is that how that place is? Is like it is, but it's on the hush.
It's I would say it's a fancy restaurant adjacent. Like you have to act like you have manners to go there. Like they only
Oh,
have 2 meals a day, and you have to be seated with the hostess that sits with you and tells you a
uh,
story tells you like the recipe and how everything's made.
oh, that's kind of cool. We
It
don't
is
have
neat.
that around here.
Yeah, it is. You have to do like reservations 2 or 3 weeks in advance.
Oh wow.
I don't know how cheap it is because my mom paid for it because it was my grandmother's birthday, but I know it was
Aw.
good. But
Oh yeah, we don't have anything like that around here.
I'm shocked. I mean, well, when I thought you were in Virginia, it would have shocked me. Ohio, not so much.
Ohio, yeah, no.
Ohio, it's just gray and bleak and 20 degrees 24/7.
Pretty much tornadoes, rain,
Yeah, well, we have those too.
losses in football games, so
Yeah, yeah, if we're lucky.
that's why we
Just,
need good food.
well, just down the road, like 20 yards away, is the old Moore County Jail.
From
And,
you?
and no, just
Or
out
from
from that restaurant.
yeah.
It's just like 45 minutes from me, but they give it like a tour and have the jail still intact. And that place, I didn't have to ask. Yeah, it's haunted.
Oh man,
She
that'd be
has
so cool.
she said the ghost guy says it's right here is haunted. I'm like, and this where I was standing. I'm like, I bet. The little interchange between the male and the female cells only had 4 cells.
Oh
And
man. So you could just
I bet some bad energy was passed back and forth right there.
they had to have been.
Mhm.
Oh, that's so cool. That's a place I'm gonna
And
have to check out. I'm gonna have to add it to my list.
yeah, well, in the case they had, of course, the display case, and it was full of shackles. I'm like, what's attached to these?
Well, and it's funny you say that because I actually have haunted ones.
Yeah.
So I'd have been like, "Can
I-
I have a pair of those?"
yeah, can I get that? What's the story behind those?
So this one actually, a great friend of mine, Jason Baker, he was doing photography at a haunted prison, and he wouldn't tell me which one. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And he found those handcuffs in one of the cells, and he was just like, "Oh, Ashley would love these," and he brought them to me during one of the investigations. So, me probably way more naive than I should have been was like, "Oh yeah, I'll take them home and put them in my office and,
Yeah.
and leave them in there." And I mean, luckily nothing crazy has happened. I've had more with the doll than I have the handcuffs, so maybe she keeps them in line. She keeps them from doing anything crazy.
Yeah, and they kind of look like they're closer to modern handcuffs,
Yeah,
and so it's
yeah.
not, you don't have any kind of possibility of that weird turn of the century
No,
where a lot of stuff wasn't illegal yet.
thankfully.
Like, the story of Waverly is the bad ghosts there aren't the ones that are the bad spirits, aren't the ones that were the tuberculosis cases. It was the mental patients after they turn it into that.
Oh yeah.
Makes
Yeah.
it so much worse.
Now, have you been to Waverly? Because that's another
No.
location that is on my bucket list, and I want to get there so bad. I just haven't had the chance.
I've had the PR guy on here, and I'm airing that episode the Sunday before Halloween.
Yeah, a really good friend of mine, he used to do tours there, and I know that I think he was just there last night too, and he would tell me some of the stories that go on, and I have to get there eventually.
Was it Ernie Pack? Was it
No, Vince.
Ernie Vince?
Yep.
Yeah, I probably saw that. I probably saw that story too.
Yeah, he was there for a couple years.
That place is wild.
I know. So, what's your favorite location?
I've not been to any. I started this show to get stories and collect them,
Yeah.
and probably my closest one is the old Fayetteville, Lincoln County Hospital in Fayetteville,
Okay.
Tennessee. That's the
I was
closest
gonna
one
say,
to me.
if you were talking about Old South Pittsburgh, I've been there, and that is the only location I've ever physically been chased out of.
Now that's the closest one to my hometown.
Now, if you get the chance, you have to go there. The amount of activity we were getting that night was incredible. I mean, we had voices, shadows, intelligent responses, and there's like a pharmacy wing that they have a lot of like children things there. And I was there with a friend, and we physically were chased completely out of that wing, down the hallway and down to the first floor. It was crazy.
Oh yeah, I'm from about 25 minutes away from that hospital. Just south on the Alabama line. I used to ride up to South Pittsburgh and buy beer all the time before I was old enough.
See, you should have made a stop at the hospital.
I've been by it so many times. I was by it last week. It's just right up the hill.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a good location you'll have to try to get to.
See, when I first heard about it, I thought it was like some kind of, it's a hospital from God knows when. So of course they think it's haunted. But everybody I talk to is like, you got to get up there. Stuff will scratch you and throw you around.
Oh yeah.
Well, bring my cat balls.
Yes, take those. Because we even had we did like a portal session, like a spirit box session in I think it was like an insulated room of someone that was a magician or a musician. And even I mentioned like, oh, I like CCR. And the box started playing CCR. I mean, it was that intelligent. It was really, really cool.
Really? That's I'd had to get out of there for that.
Yeah, just tell it what music you like. It'll play the music for you. Come and throw a spirit box.
Who was I talking to that said they ran into one in a jail that the ghost like Days of Our Lives? And it was that recent of a haunting, and the prisoner like Days of Our Lives. They started playing it, and it like started lighting up all the REM pods.
I've never thought about doing that. That's hilarious.
I mean, if there are modern ghosts, they have to have watched something.
Well, and that's what I do. Like when I go into locations, instead of trying to assume, I always ask, like, who's the president? Or can you tell me who the president is? And then that way I can kind of narrow down what time frame they're in. But I haven't had anything crazy, I don't think. Gettysburg was pretty interesting. They were giving us a lot of Yankee comments.
That would have been fun to hear because they're still stuck in that time period.
They are, yeah.
I never thought how did they come through on who's the spirit box when you ask them who's the presidents?
Yeah, so we'll do it during Spirit Box, or we'll do it during more of like a sensory, where we'll put somebody under. They'll have either a spirit box, white noise, necrophonic, something of that nature, and we'll do the headphones and the blindfold and try to get them like sensory deprivation, and we'll have somebody else either in a different room or across the room ask who's your president right now, or can you tell us what major events going on in the news in case it's during like one of the world wars. And we haven't really got a lot, but like I said, when we were in Gettysburg, they were F-bombing each side. So
yeah, I mean, it makes you wonder if they're still like a lot of it's got to be residual in a place like that. Some of it has to be intelligent.
well, and that's what we think too, and that's why we try to ask, because then, like I said, we can narrow down the years. But in Gettysburg, yeah, they were F the Yankees, F this, F that. So I knew that they knew what we were talking about, and it was just interesting to see that they still believed that we were like stuck in their time.
You're showing them what's this crazy hair? Women wearing pants.
I know, they're like, why does she have two-tone hair? What's going on here?
Some kind of a witch.
Yeah, probably.
Burn her at the stake.
Which I've been called that many a times through a spirit box.
So have you ever been like Doe Run Inn or anything in Kentucky?
No, I haven't.
Or to the Moundsville Shawshank Cemetery up there in Ohio?
So Shawshank, I've been to Ohio State Reformatory where they shot the movie. I've been there.
Not the same as Moundsville, is it?
No, yeah. This one is in Mansfield. I think a lot of people know it as Mansfield Prison, or OSR. I've been there probably 4 or 5 times, and that's actually another episode of Beyond the Dimensions, and it shows we had a lot of really intelligent responses there. We had somebody get attacked by a drone. I got scratched completely, like all the way from top to bottom down my back. Yeah, we had a lot of crazy things. I mean, that was my fault. In the spirit's defense, I initiated the scratch.
Were you provoking the ghost?
Well, I didn't technically provoke it. I was more excited. But there's a spirit there, and his name is Mr. Salt. And they said that he hates women, and that when women walk into his area, he attacks them. So of course I'm like, well, I have to go. I'm the only girl on the team. I have to go. And I walk in there, and it's process of elimination. And I walk in there, and I'm asking questions, and I ask him to say hi. And everybody in the room audibly heard like a real hi, like a whisper. And I was super excited, and I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. That's great. Apparently you're not as much of a dick as everyone says you are. And within, I don't know, maybe a minute, my entire back was burning. And when we were there, it was February. So I had on like a tank top, a t-shirt, a hoodie, an Eskimo jacket, gloves, and all that. So I knew I couldn't have done it. And one of my friends lifted up my coat, and I did, from the top of my back all the way down to where my pants were. It was just a big one scratch.
Like one row, or like 3 fingers?
Nope, just like one row. Like he just gouged all the way down. So don't call Mr. Salt any mean names.
That's not the first time somebody's mentioned Mr. Salt on here, I believe.
Yeah. And I was being nice about it. It wasn't like a derogatory thing. I was like, oh, hey, you're actually kind of cool. But I guess my wording was not to his liking.
Okay. So you brought that up, and I thought about it. Like, we spitball out of this at work. One of my coworkers' mom is actually she's a medium, a clairvoyant and whatnot. And she got in some ghosts and demons at the Doe Run Inn in Kentucky.
Oh.
And it like threatened to kill her, and ended up following her home and all kinds of different stuff. But we always get to talking about things like this at work. And I thought one time, I said, what's it going to be like when a ghost, they're from God knows when, like
Yeah.
ends up, a ghost starts getting canceled by the media. Like you can't go to like Mr. Salt because he says anti-feminist terms and assumes your gender. And
Yeah. Yeah.
and ghost hunting becomes like a white nationalist dog whistle or something. Like it's crazy enough to happen.
In today's world,
That story alone.
yeah, in today's world, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think anything really surprises me anymore.
No, man, I don't know. I don't know where you stand either way, but it'd be crazy not to know that that's a definite possibility.
Yeah. But, thinking back in their time, because, that's what I think about is like a lot of these so-called spirits are from like a long time ago.
Mhm.
And it's like, you have to remember if they're stuck in their time, they're not, like you said, they're not used to women coming in or women wearing pants or, me saying, oh, hey, you're not that big of a dick. Like that would have been really disrespectful back then. And
Yeah,
so
Lord.
he was probably putting me in my place is what he was thinking.
Here in Alabama, home health nurses can't be of a different race than some of those old people. So I can imagine a ghost from 300 years ago.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's crazy that it's still like that today, but
It's just
unfortunately
kind of the
things like
stuff you
that will
think
never
about.
change.
No, it's the kind of stuff you think about. I'm like, what does this ghost think about Zach Bagan looking like he does? Like, what is he?
Yep. I have a few choice words that aren't good. He's not one of my favorites, I'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, boy, the guy does a lot for the field, but he does a
Yeah.
lot to hurt it too.
He
His
does.
museum's a bucket list item, but
It is of mine too, because I've heard he's got some incredible things in there. And
Mhm.
and I have friends that have gone who just say that it's something you have to check out if you're in the field or at least interested in the paranormal.
Mhm. And I don't see how he hasn't got a couple hitchhikers either.
I don't either. And I wonder that because he claims to be like an extreme empath.
Mhm.
So I'm surprised because you hear about all these other people that have had attachments. Nick Groff talks about, he's had
Yeah.
things come home, but Zach never does. Even Nick, I think, no, what's his name? Aaron on the show mentioned
Yeah.
he's had things come home, but I don't know if Zach ever has.
I know that I was told by the tour guide at the Sorrel Weed House in Savannah that Zach did a fake possession there.
That does,
And
and did you see the article that came out, I think, just a few days ago?
I
Where
don't
he
think
said,
so.
oh yeah, it's Zach, and he's talking about how it upsets him when people mention that he fakes any type of evidence because everything is one shot, it's never refilmed, never reshot, and it what you see is what you get.
That's just good. That just means you're good at faking.
That means you're a great actor.
I think that he came along and was genuine at first, and then it started getting Hollywood on him.
Yeah, I liked when it was still him, Nick, and Aaron. I think that was a good, solid team. But I haven't watched it since Nick left.
I started getting into it, in all 2009, 2008, when I moved out of my parents' house with my wife now, and it started coming on every night.
Yeah.
And like you had Taps and him, and they were going back and forth, and they seemed neck and neck, and then Bacon just goes, what happened?
I wonder what it was about him that kind of shot him to fame, because I used to love ghost hunters. I loved Taps.
I watch them both.
I loved them, and I watched them growing up, and I remember when they did the academy, and I actually applied for the academy, but I got an email. I was like 16 years old, and they're like, oh, you have to be 18. Oh.
Yeah. Zach can't hit on you, be creepy if you don't go there. I told one of the ladies who was on here, she's an author of some ghost stuff just up the road, and I told her about how I kind of lost my innocence when I found out that he faked a possession. I was like, wait, they do that? I'm like, I thought that was all real. Just like a little bit of my mind thought it was all real, and I'm like,
Doesn't it? It kind of ruins it for you, but it also it kind of irritates me because there are some people that still believe that that's how the field is.
Well, yeah.
And I'm like, you're not going to walk into a house and instantly become possessed. That's just not how it's going to work. And, I feel like demons are very rare. I don't think they're in every single location like he makes it sound. And I think he's just terrifying people.
And I think if it did happen like that, it wouldn't just happen if you were there with a night vision camera. It would happen if you were there like on a field trip
Mhm.
or visiting grandma, or just if you bought a house and toured a house for like from a realtor. Like people just be going nuts 24/7.
What if it happened like that? I wouldn't be in the field. I'm not trying
No,
to mess with no demons.
that'd be like being a demolition artist that test drove cars and you're just all the time wrecking. Just
Yeah.
stupid. This is
Yeah. But people believe that that's real. They believe you walk into every location and there's a demon and you're going to be possessed, and it's sad, but it's okay. We're going to change it.
that Bigfoot world's no different. Because I kind
Really?
of go in between. They have Expedition Bigfoot and Finding Bigfoot, and
Yeah.
they have the same people.
So if you're into Bigfoot, being from Ohio, have you ever heard of the Minerva monster?
Mm-hmm.
You have?
Mm-hmm. Over there by it's on the east side.
Yeah, it's like Alliance, Minerva area.
Mm-hmm. I had a
Yeah.
lady on here that heard it.
Did she?
She was from Massillon.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right down the road from me.
Mm-hmm. And she her son does all the stuff in Massillon. He dresses up like a Bigfoot at town events and stuff. His name's the Massillon's own Bigfoot.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
I just messaged him. So I'm like, that sounds cool. I don't know what it is. I'm just
Yeah.
cold calling people. Come to find out, like he got really into Bigfoot, and they went driving through Minerva,
Mhm.
and he was playing the apps, that plays the Sierra Sounds. I don't know if you know what that is. The Bigfoot Sierra Sounds.
Yeah.
Sounds like a Japanese guy just pissed off. And
It
he's
does.
playing that, and the whoop whoop, and he turned it off, and they're sitting there still, and his mom says. And I was talking to them both. And his mom said, "I told him to turn that damn app off. We're trying to hear." He goes, "Mom, the map's been off for 5 minutes." Yeah, is that
What?
not creepy? Can you
Oh,
imagine? I'd have peeled off. Whoop.
see, and that's crazy because growing up, everybody's always talked about this Minerva monster, and
Mhm.
my dad is huge into Bigfoot. Like that is he wants to find one before he dies. And so that I know like in high school we used to go like, we're gonna go find it, and never really thought what we would do if we actually found it.
Yeah. Well, apparently it's a thing, And the more people I talk to, them I started off like I said, this channel just to hear stories and maybe put similarities together
Mhm.
and sit around, because I used to have stand-up comedians on and stuff. It wasn't just one thing. And then it just got to be where I only had Bigfoot and paranormal people, so I just changed the name. That's why you got Coffee and Bigfoot here.
See, two
That's
two
all
awesome things.
I would do is just do coffee and talk about Bigfoot and have paranormal people. And
So
I got to talking. I'm like, maybe it's not so much a pipe dream that it's not real.
well, and okay, so since you've had a lot of people on, I guess I'm interested. What are some of the beliefs behind it? Because I know some people think it's like a Native American legend.
A lot of
You
that.
know, yeah, some people think that it's just an overgrown gorilla, like a man in a suit. So what's the consensus?
My mom it's funny you said it. My mom just got back from the Blue Ridge Mountains Bigfoot Museum, brought me like a sticker that had the Native American Bigfoot mask.
Yeah.
It has the big eyes, but I I think the Native American thing is kind of across the board. Everybody knows that they talked about it, and that's kind of like what there's two camps. There's the paranormal camp, and there's the unknown gorilla camp,
Yeah.
and they just fight all the time because they're all virgins, and that's what they do. And the paranormal camp consists of people who have actually dealt with Bigfoot in real life, and the unknown monkey camp deals with people that don't believe the people that deal with Bigfoot in real
Mhm.
life. And when you talk to people, what got me is there's a guy named David Parker and a guy named Randy Bauer and a couple more, and they live. One lives on the Iowa border in Missouri, one lives in the Canadian border in Minnesota. There's a couple from Vermont. You get the idea. They're 67-year-old men. They can't work a flip phone. Nice as they can be, they're not lying. They don't have anything to gain from it. They've made their money, and they say the same thing about they disappear, they cloak, they mess with your mind, they make you lose time and get lost in your own woods, and they throw rocks, and they make those Sierra sounds. They start talking.
See, and I just wonder, so would it be considered like in the realm of entities?
I think
Almost
it's
like a spirit ghost kind of thing, and that's why no one's ever actually, because I know people have asked me like, "Oh, well, if they're real, how come we've
yeah,
never found a body of one?"
bodies.
I'm
Yeah,
like, "Well, you've never caught a, I don't know, a body of
yeah.
a vampire, and people believe in those."
I think the people who want to believe are missing the forest for the trees on the paranormal thing, because you got real life people saying that and just say, "Yeah, I mean, I saw him disappear, I saw him
Yeah.
reappear," and like, why don't we have bodies? I'm like, I think they're telling you why. If you listen to these guys,
Yeah, exactly. That's why I think it is something with the Native American, like either it's like land protection, barrier ground protection, something of that nature. Cause it's just, it does fall into the realm of paranormal.
and there's a way to actually find where they're at. And I've heard a bunch of people say the same thing. Like you'll find, like a really pretty river that always flows, like let's say the Smoky Mountains, and someplace flat where they can live. They always live by water. That's what they always follow the
Yeah.
water. Anytime all the tree structures near water, and if you go and camp in a spot where they can be above you on like a ridge, and that's kind of like the formula for it. And you go out there and you start making, you make a tree knock noise, or
Yeah.
meditating a lot of it, like the CE5 thing
Mhm.
that Stephen Greer does. You can kind of do that for Bigfoot and make them act up.
See, and I think anybody who doesn't 100% believe in them is naive because one, there's so many different mountains and woods, and
Mhm.
it's just impossible to explore every inch of it. So
Yep.
I don't think it's out of the question. I think they could definitely be out there and we're just missing it.
Yeah, and the fact that everyone that lives with them cohabituate. I don't know. They have like a 40-acre farm, and they put peanut butter out, and they get game cameras, have big hands on them like this. But they never see them. Even Randy Bauer from Minnesota, he's like my favorite witness. Like I'm going to go up there one day and see him.
Yeah.
He saw the a portal open up in the woods. They said it looked like the Northern Lights, and two orbs fly out. And as
Oh,
they got
wow.
closer to the ground, they started crunching, and then the orbs turned into Bigfoot, and it went to the gifting area and got like some apples, and walked back and floated back to the portal and stopped. And the footprint stopped crunching. It went into an orb and back into the portal.
And he stayed long enough to, because I'd have been out.
And he's got a witness that saw it with him.
Because I mean, I don't run or scare easy, but if I saw that in the woods, nope, I would have been
Like an
completely out.
elevator door opening with the Northern Lights coming out of it.
Oh my gosh, that would be insane.
And there's a book about it. I've had him on me. This guy here, a Terrible Lizard. His name is Wild Trees. He is a biologist, and me and him used to be co-hosts together. We still do some, but we've had him on our channel both, and the author of the book, and Randy, and they say the same thing, and they don't rehearse. They're just regular dudes.
Yeah. Well,
But
and
you can tell when you're being lied to.
oh yeah, for sure.
Just
I
ask
mean,
them.
body language and people's stories will change and things like
Mhm.
that. But that is incredible. Yeah, I've never actually met somebody who has come across any type of evidence of a Bigfoot. So that's really interesting.
Tons of it, and they all have hair, but they don't want to give it up. I don't know what that's about.
That-
I won't interrupt you again, but I'll tell you what it feels like whenever somebody really, really, really lives with Bigfoot is it's not about proving they're real anymore. It's about protecting them.
yes.
And they all turn into these guardians. Like, I don't want any more cameras out here. I don't want to give you the hair. That's my hair. And it's not that anymore.
But I
Yeah.
think it's sweet. I mean, that's the same thing, in some investigators, like it's about just telling a story. Like we don't want to banish them or anything like that. So I am for that. I think it's really sweet that they're trying to protect them because clearly, they're
Mhm.
majestic. Is that the right word to use?
Yeah, definitely that. Intelligent. They're not
Yeah.
they're not a monkey. They're not an animal.
Right.
They love peanut butter.
Who doesn't?
So we know they're anti-vaxxers because they don't have the shot, so they don't have peanut allergies. I don't know. Everybody's first. I said my favorite thing is I wonder if the peanut butter industry knows how much they're propped up by the Bigfoot research industry.
They should put them on the label.
Dude, it's right. It's like their biggest customer.
Yeah.
There's kindergartners and Bigfoot hunters, and that's their main demographic.
I have a first grader. I can vouch for that peanut butter statement.
And the apple industry. I bet Bigfoot are like, apples again, Mom. I bet you could bring one in with a Domino's pizza and just get them hooked on it every night. Bring them a Domino's pizza.
You could try. I would set it out there. Why not?
It'd be pretty
Steak,
expensive.
something. Give them something
Mhm.
better than apples and peanut butter.
They love raiding chicken houses.
Okay, so that's hard though, because I know like wolves and coyotes would do that too.
I mean, they'll see them, like get a glimpse out there.
Oh, okay.
Footprints. I mean, when I say see them, like people actually see them in these that get to know them, that have like people that have really good intentions. Like I said, that trust them.
Yeah.
They'll get glimpses and stuff of it happening. Handprints.
Well, and with all the different trail cams and equipment we have nowadays, it'd be a lot easier for them to try and catch something compared to 20 years ago when
Mhm.
we didn't really have that, I guess.
Yeah, now the big thing is, well, there's, like you said, so many trail cams. Why don't we get any pictures? Well, the Bigfoot knows they're there.
Yeah.
They can see that infrared light in any of it.
See, that's what you gotta. I mean, I act like I know what I'm doing. I don't. I would hide it somewhere. They'd probably still see it, knowing
Oh,
my
it'd
luck.
be easy. They'd crush it.
Hey, but it would be evidence.
Yeah. Well, Randy even said that he that's why he doesn't have cameras out there. That he asked him if he could put cameras and tell me what to do with this camera, and they twisted it off the tree. And it's the game cameras have like a strap on the back. He twisted it off
Yeah.
the tree till the strap broke, and it had the big muddy footprints or muddy. I say mud. No, it's white. They leave a white handprint that's kind of like burned on, like powder coat.
Oh my
And
gosh.
he set it on the ground and put 2 limbs on it and an X on top of it.
Like, nope, we don't want this
Yeah.
out here.
So he doesn't put any cameras on his property anymore.
I don't blame them. It'd be just a waste of money if they're going to continue to do that.
Mhm. And it's like a trust thing. Like he says, like his big thing is to gain the trust, and he hasn't gotten any further than just sometimes he'll go out there and get his mind will get messed with, and he'll get lost,
See,
which
that's
freaks
crazy.
me out a little bit. I was trying to
Yeah,
put a picture he sent. Show
the
you
fact
something
that
on his property.
they have that ability is just insane.
Yeah, and I don't know why that it's considered taboo if you're a serious researcher to pursue that as an option, because it literally answers all the questions.
Yeah.
In my mind, that is the answer. Why haven't we found a body? I don't know, because they can force ghosts. They're Bigfoot. I mean,
Right. And
here,
I'm
there
excited.
you go. Look at those elbows.
Oh my God.
Yep, that's from his place.
Okay, that would creep me. I wouldn't go in the woods alone.
And I could find him. You're going to trust me on this, but there's a picture of the same area without that there, and that's 6 or 8 foot tall.
Oh my God.
And
Nope.
you want to make it be a bear, but it's just not a bear.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Elbows.
It looks like it's too big to be a bear almost.
See the back ridge? It looks like a dude. It looks like Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
It's a wrestler. Oh my
And look
God.
how
Yeah.
it just goes up in Conehead. But yeah, I saw the other shot of it. He sent me all his shots, and he has a page where he shares them all. But this was Doug Highcheck from Monster Quest took this picture on Randy's place.
See, I'd rather take my chances with spirits and other things. I don't want to fight a 8 to 9 foot furry being.
I'll tell you another thing that happens with people that actually encounter a Bigfoot or have any kind of encounter, even if it's just like a class B or something. They want it so bad to more, and they'll send me crappy evidence afterwards. And that's what makes me mad with them. That's the downfall of the entire Bigfoot world, is the blob squatches and the red circles. Like, if you don't have it, you don't have it.
But they want it so
Yeah.
bad. I mean, I feel like that's anybody. You want that evidence so bad that sometimes your mind just kind of runs with it, and you can kind of make anything out of anything.
And there's a guy named Todd Standing that I think, somebody had to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think had an actual legit encounter, and now all he does is make hoaxes and just ruins it for him. There's
See,
a couple other ones just like it.
That just ruins the reputation.
Wendell said like his. I think Wendell had like footprints on his place.
Oh my God. Ooh, see, that would scare me. I would much rather take my chances with ghosts than anything like that.
Yeah, the thing with ghosts is ghosts are like domesticated animals, kind of, because you're just like they're there, like in the paranormal world. You know they're there, you know they exist. You can go mess with them anytime you want to.
Yeah, and I don't feel like they're as threatening. I mean, some people feel different. I mean, I guess I just said I was scratched, but like I feel like if I came face to face with a Bigfoot, like it could do some damage compared to being
Hey,
like
I was scratched by a golden retriever 20 minutes ago. But
Yeah, see,
that
that's the same
doesn't mean
thing.
it's dangerous.
So I feel like I would be safer with spirits and ghosts than I would with I don't know, Bigfoot.
Yeah, and well, the good news about Bigfoot is I think if you're a threat to them or they don't want you there, you're not going to see them.
True. That
It's
is
not
true.
like you have to see them. That's why people that they don't trust, they know their intentions. They're kind of they look around. They call them tree peekers. You see, like their little head go.
Mhm.
You're supposed to walk out like a lot of people have harnesses on their back, with their phone. It's on the back of their head, and they walk out of the woods, and they'll get like little tree peekers like that.
Just kind of looking, checking on
Mhm.
them.
Yep. And if you have a rifle, they won't come out.
I wouldn't either.
I knew a girl in New Mexico was scratched by
Oh.
lightning. This must be Robert Beto. It says Facebook now.
Now, I have to say, I just watched that movie on, I think it was Voodoo, and I had never heard that legend before.
On
So,
La Llorona.
yeah. And I
Ooh.
just
I
watched the
think
movie. It was
I,
interesting.
I think the guy posting this, and if it's not, then whatever. He'll just like the free plug. His name is Robert Beto. He runs a website called Mexico Unexplained. Oh God, it's Mexico Unexplained. Explain would be stupid. But he researches every cryptid and paranormal thing and historical thing in Mexico and Central America. Really thorough.
I'd be
It's more
interested to
thorough
know his thoughts on the chupacabra.
than you would. It's very in depth. Like he's studied them.
Did
But
he really?
yeah, his favorite Mexican thing is La Llorona. He says he saw it when he was younger. But
Well,
here's the kicker. He has a business selling trinkets and Mexican decorations for the like knickknacks. He sells all these little things he sells around the world and put in things in like into a decoration shop and figurines and whatnot. Why can't I think of words right now? But it's a good story. But he La Llorona scares the shit out of him.
oh,
And he was watching the movie La Llorona and saw stuff from his collection in the movie, and he didn't
so
know they
it's
sold it to him.
legitimate.
He didn't know he sold it to him. And so he calls his agent and he goes, "When did you buy this?" He goes, "Yeah, they put in a big order." He goes, "Dude, I'm freaking out."
But that's so cool to see your
Yeah.
stuff like in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Hispanic culture, it's really interesting to me. So my husband is actually of Hispanic descent, and my doll back here, my haunted doll, her name is Maria, and I got her because she also has like a Hispanic background story to her. So it's one of the reasons I have her too. She's pretty awesome.
He says, "Yes, it's me." He said, "Good rendition." Look, I mess it up every time I tell it. You meet some fascinated people here.
You
Do
do
these shows.
this field is so interesting. I've met some really, really cool, interesting people who have experiences that I didn't even know were possible.
And some people who are insane
Yeah, we run
and
across
probably
a
need to
few
be
of
on
those.
pills. Yeah.
I'm sure there's a few people that think that about me too, so it's okay.
Well, the studio alone is puts you above most other guests I have sometimes. Are you in the bathroom right now? Is that pick your phone up off the ground?
I am so glad you said that. I have had guests on the podcast that are laying in bed with their phone like this to their face, and
Bro.
I'm like, people can see us. Like,
On the same token, like I was telling you about the Bigfoot guys who can't work a flip phone, had one dude. The whole show was like this.
oh no.
But his story was so amazing that I was like, I'm not even gonna stop him. I said, I hope people can understand what's going on right now. His audio sounded good. His story was amazing. Great speaker. Just kept
See,
moving around his house.
that's just technical difficulty. That's not just laying in bed
Yeah,
watching a bedtime with your phone like this.
he was innocent. He wasn't doing it maliciously. He was
Yeah.
70 years old. I still talk to him. He saw a Bigfoot kill a deer with his hands
What?
in the 80s. Yeah, they said he was deer hunting in Vermont or New Hampshire, and He either lives in Vermont now and it happened in New Hampshire or vice versa. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Bernie Sanders to you. But he said he was sitting there watching a green field, deer hunting, and Bigfoot walked out, grabbed a deer and wrung its neck like a chicken, and stuck it under its arm and walked off and looked at him for a second and then walked off in 1982.
And in my mind, I'd been like, well, better the deer than me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my
He also
God.
he pulled up on it too and couldn't do it. And every time somebody says they do that, they say they can't do it.
That's crazy. Oh, that would have had to be a really good story. That would have been a really interesting
It
one
is.
to hear.
Jonathan Wadsworth is on my show there. I'll send it to you eventually or one of these days.
Yeah, send it to me. I would love to watch that one. That would be really interesting.
I think Wild Trees is on there. Yeah, he's on there with me. Yeah, he was just dude's moving around with the camera. My favorite are the people in bed and dogs barking, kids in the background. I'm like,
I know. I have a 7-year-old, and I tell him all the time. I'm like, "Mommy is working. Don't come in the office unless you're dying or bleeding."
yep.
So he's pretty good at it.
Yeah. Mine kind of know that I'm only going to do it for 2 days a week for about an hour.
Yep.
Just take off.
Yep. Just leave me alone for at least an hour.
Oh, that's what Wendell said. Wendell lived in a house, and every afternoon they could smell roast and beans cooking. And nobody was cooking. Everything could be off. Stoves, microwaves. Yeah, the ghost roast.
The ghost roast.
How mad would you be if you came home and smelled like Cracker Barrel and nothing was cooking?
I would be mad because then I'd be like, what the hell? Like, share with
I'd
me.
call
at
a priest
least.
quicker than a scratch.
Oh, see, and I'm over here like, share. Like, I like food. You could share with me.
Like, manifest that stuff, man. He said he'd smell beans and cobblers.
See, apple cobbler would get me.
Yep. And that was up here in Alabama too, I think.
Oh my gosh. So we don't get any of that fun stuff. Like with ghost hunting, as people call it, all we get is like perfumes and like things burning, like nothing.
Yeah,
no good food smells.
What is the technical term for the ghost hunting?
I like to say investigating because we're not hunting anything. We're not, killing it and hanging it on our wall.
Yeah.
So I like
ghost
to say,
hunting sounds kind of bastardized almost. It's like it sounds like vanilla ice cream ghost hunting.
Yeah, I like to say paranormal investigating or just investigating because we're just trying to get answers. We're not, hunting them down and sticking them in boxes like Ghostbusters.
What if you could do that? Put them in a little repository.
Wasn't there a team that tried to make a ghost trap?
Yeah, it was Bagan.
Was it him? Why am I not surprised?
They went into that prison that time, and that one guy showed up with this thing that just thumped.
And here's the funny thing is people always want to say, oh, well, spirits can walk through walls and this and that. You're not going to catch them in a box. At least I don't think so.
There was a short film with Marissa Tomei about that exact same thing. You may have seen it. But she was running a hospice ward in a hospital. And one night she came to work and one of the patients was missing. And come to find out, they were taken to a secret underground laboratory in the hospital. And the old man was put inside of a room and they electrocuted. They had all the tubes and this whole like NASA like crew watching it. And the dude died. And all of a sudden his spirit's like pinging around in the inside there and it can't get loose. And they're all this stuff starts happening and they're noticing there's like an energy trying to get back into the room to get him.
Oh.
That's a good one.
Oh man, that's kind of sad.
Yeah, and he's showing shows his spirit scratching at the wall. He's like, "What is happening?"
Oh my gosh, I have to watch that.
She turns it off, and then the white light comes in and zaps him up.
Oh my gosh,
it's a good one. Yeah, it's just like what you were saying.
Yeah, well, see, and that's what I think. Like, I personally don't think that spirits are going to walk through walls or doors or whatever. I think if somebody does see that, that's probably how that location was set up in their time. Because I think they were people at one point. So they're probably just walking the path that they used to walk or going through the doors that they used to go through. And, houses and construction change a lot. So I don't think they're walking through walls. There was probably a door there at some point.
Yeah. And I'm sure by definition it's walking through walls, but they're not like doing it as an ability.
Right. Yeah. I don't think they're like, woo, superpower, walk through walls.
They're not running wind sprints through.
I hope one day I do see that because I'm gonna send you that video.
Yeah, like doing parkour,
Yeah.
parkour.
I'm like, look,
They're
you have to see this. Put this on your next show.
they like at a U.S. Jimson plant, they're bouncing off the sheetrock.
Yeah,
It's
like
like
a
their
little
name.
gymnast.
Mhm. You know, that's kind of what they say whenever you start remodeling an old house. That's when they start acting up.
Yeah, I think it's because they're like, if somebody came into your house and started tearing things apart, you probably wouldn't be happy.
Yeah, like what's up?
Yeah.
Did you tear
But
down the crown molding?
Well, and that's when people try to say, like, oh, they're negative, they're mean, they're evil. I'm like, look, they probably have hundreds of people coming into their space at a time. If I had hundreds of people coming in my house at some point, I'd like, just get out, leave me alone. Typical.
Roger beat me to my next statement. Thanks, Roger. But that was actually based on an experiment at the turn of the century that didn't actually happen. Whenever they weighed the dead guy inside the sealed capsule.
Trying to catch a soul at the time of death.
Mm-hmm. Well, the lost symbol, it opened up and they got basically the same scenario that I just described from the short film.
Yeah.
And they were weighing the guy and then he passed away. Good God, the Wuhan. And it drops like 0.00012% of a gram. It's like, it's a soul. But that was based off of an experiment that happened in the early 1900s that was proved fake.
Well, doesn't that kind of remind you of the movie 13 Ghosts?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That was a good one.
That's a great movie. One of my favorites.
I get it confused with Haunted Hill. Not Haunted Hill, but Haunting on Hill, or the one with the crazy person. Not Coraline, or Eleanor. Not Eleanor, but the other one that came out at the same time with Owen Wilson.
Oh, what is the name of that?
It's like the Haunting of Hill House.
That's when they're stuck
House
in
on
the
Haunted Hill.
Is that when they're stuck on the mansion?
Yeah, they're both the same one.
Yeah.
One's really serious that has the ghost keeps saying Eleanor.
I think that's Hill House.
Yeah, and the other one is it's kind of a almost B-rate, but it's got Owen Wilson in it. Wait a minute, I'm looking these up. I'm getting them back. Somebody's screaming.
I know 13 Ghosts has the one with the guy from Scream in it, where they catch. Well, clearly they catch 13 different ghosts and like they're trying to open this portal of some
sort. A different movie than that. That's a good one though.
That's a good one. And Hill House, I feel like a bunch of they're invited to a party or something, and then the mansion locks up. Or I might have my movies wrong.
Okay, The Haunting is the one with the serious with Eleanor. Haunting House on Haunted Hill was the one they're invited to a party, and the crazy dude messing with them. Good God! But the both of those are based on a movie called House on Haunted Hill from the 60s.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know that much.
I did not know that.
Which one had Owen Wilson? Haunting. Then there was the haunting of Hill House, which was Netflix from like 4 years ago.
Yeah, that was really
I
liked that one. That was good.
And it was one room. Spoiler alert. It all took place in one damn room.
Like, it pretty much did.
Haunting had Owen Wilson. I thought the other one had Owen Wilson. Wow.
I didn't know he was in any of them. That's why I'm
he was in this one. Useless knowledge. I'm full of it. and the House on Haunted Hills where they were looking through that old that made like cartoons, and that was like half the haunting. She was going nuts seeing him on a horse. I'm
gonna have to rewatch that movie. Ever since having kids, all I do is watch cartoons now and investigate. That's pretty much my life.
Stupid Bluey, man. Everybody likes Bluey. I don't like Bluey.
My son is really into Marmaduke.
Yeah.
Marmaduke, which I think is actually Owen Wilson's voice, to be funny.
Yeah.
But I think it's Marmaduke and Smurfs, which I did not know was coming back around.
That's a random assortment.
Yeah, he's an odd kid. That's what I like to say.
The main character on House on Haunted Hill was Famke from Hemlock Grove. That Hungarian lady.
Yeah.
7 feet tall.
See, I'm gonna have to re-up all my movies. my movie knowledge.
Yeah, 13 Ghosts is good though. Back to that. I derailed your whole conversation.
No, we were talking about experiments and things like that.
Mhm. They're all in the
Interesting
boxes.
stuff.
And they had that one naked lady who was cut from here to here.
The princess.
Yeah.
Yes. What did you hear? They're supposed to come out with a I think it's supposed to be like a sequel where they actually go into the backstories of each of the spirits, like each of the ghosts,
Yeah.
to tell
It's got a
why
series, isn't it?
they're dead. Or because what is it that they call it the jackal with the big box
Mm-hmm.
on its head, which I always
was
thought
like
was a
the
guy.
main-
Apparently, it's a female.
Yeah, he was like the main scary one they were trying to keep you away from.
Yeah. And
Jackal.
I'm saying if I ever ran into those in the field, I'm out. I'm quitting. I'm hanging it up. I'm done.
Wendell said Scooby Doo. God, what's wrong with my throat today? Having too
It's
good of
going
a time.
around. I'm telling you, it's going around. So
Here we
thinking
go.
of locations that you have to go to as well, you have to get to Hinsdale because that place is incredible. Monroe is another great location you have to go to.
Hinsdale?
Yes.
Monroe?
The Hinsdale House, it's in Hinsdale, New York. Monroe is in Monroe, Indiana, I believe. And of course, Mansfield Prison. Ooh, apps
yeah.
like Necrophonic. Okay. So my thought on ghost apps, it kind of people aren't gonna like it. I don't like ghost apps because I think it's just like everything else where your phone listens to you, and if you talk about a Caribbean cruise, you're gonna start getting emails about cruises. You're gonna start seeing those ads on your Facebook. So I think that unless you're putting your phone on airplane mode, which again is not guaranteed,
Yeah.
your phone's just consistently listening to you. So you're going to run these apps and they're just going to use words out of the database that they picked up.
Yeah,
And I've actually tested it because we did use Necrophonic in it was a cemetery in Indiana that we did, and I had set a bunch of names and then I put my phone on airplane mode and then played Necrophonic, and I think it was like 3 out of 6 names popped up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, they listen.
That's just not what those are designed for.
No.
It's if you're gonna do, I don't even know why you would like waste your time messing with those apps. If you're serious about it, you're not.
Right.
At all.
And I mean, I think it's something fun to do, if you're a bunch of kids at a sleepover, or even it's fun to run at an investigation if nothing's really happening, because then it's like real time, I guess, stuff. But as far as like good evidence, I would never include that into solid evidence.
But what about, there's some that run apps from the actual legit device onto your phone.
That's true. I have come across somebody who had an SLS on their phone,
Mm-hmm.
which that actually did seem a little bit more legitimate, because I think an SLS just runs off of a Connect anyway. So it's kind of the same thing. But I mean, they would show it and it would pick up what it thought were, little human figures or things. But you do have to be careful because it picks up lamps and reflections in mirrors or certain doors.
Those things are iffy at best.
Yeah. So you have to like really pay attention to what you're shooting. But the SLS, I would use that on my phone.
I know a dude that used the phone. He didn't use the phone apps, but devices with the phones.
Yeah.
To meet a guy that died in his town, that helped him find his credit card in his house.
Oh wow.
Like he EVP'd his way to the library to look up old articles.
Yeah.
And after that, he lost his credit card and he started asking like around what it was, and the same ghost started popping up and said, "Under the towels, under towels." Like he found it in his bedroom under towels. He's like, "What? This is crazy." It was like a whole saga.
Oh my gosh.
And you look it up and it's real. Like the guy's real, the EVPs are real.
Yeah. That's crazy.
He was saying, can't breathe.
Oh my. See, and like some of that stuff, I mean, I guess it's not out of question. I mean, anything's possible because heck, I've seen things that I didn't think were possible. Music boxes lighting up by themselves. There's a location in Ohio called Bill Manor that, I mean, they were for 2 hours straight on command, light this flashlight up, light this one, and it would light up, and okay, turn it off, turn this one on, this one would light up. Okay, make the music box go for 5 seconds,
Mhm.
and it would just, so I mean, I guess technically anything is possible.
What's the similarities that makes those kind of events happen? Is it like a full moon or is
No,
barometric pressure?
so my thing at Bill Manor, there's a lot of different history behind it. It was like a funeral home. There was a family who lived there, but it was a boys' home for a while, and a lot of the
Mhm.
children were children who had like Down syndrome or things like that. And I used to work in a field that had a lot of people with mental and physical disabilities, and some of them are very childlike. So it's fun, it's playful. And at Bill Manor, again, Fremont, Ohio, great place. It was very playful. And we had like the mag lights that you just like slightly turn and they would come
Mhm.
on. And we were just asking questions like, are you a boy? Are you a girl? And one flashlight was yes and one was no. And to start it out, we say, okay, for yeses, light this one up. Can you light it up? And it would light up. And I think when you come into something that's just more playful and it trusts you, kind of
Mhm.
like children do, you're going to get evidence that is just out of this world.
That makes sense because you get the the hospital patients at Waverly are the ones that are more cooperative.
Yeah. Yeah. And it just seems like, I don't want to say like the earlier mindset, but if you come in respectful, because that's my thing. So I was going, I'm like, I'm not here to make you leave. I'm not here to hurt you. I
Mhm.
just want to know your story. I want to get to know you. And I've gotten great results with just like that little speech.
Yeah, coming in aggressive, that's not going to work in anything.
No.
That's not how it
No.
works.
And you're just going to make things angry, and people are just they're not going to want to respond to you.
Yeah. Roger asked if you ever had anything that made you scared enough to not make you want to quit. Made you want to quit. Well, she's talking about South Pittsburgh a while ago.
Yeah, that one was a little nerve-wracking. So I'll tell that one, and then the Hinsdale story is the one where I said I was never going back. But at Old South Pittsburgh, I was down by the pharmacy wing, and I was with a good friend of mine, Christy Grissom, and we were down there, and we heard what sounded like a couch being shoved across the floor, like extremely fast. And I looked at Christy, and Christy is this incredible medium, and she just looks at me and she says, "Effing run." And I was like, you can see something I apparently can't see. And I just ran. I'm like, you know what? You don't have to tell me twice something. And the look on her face was terrifying. So I ran, she ran, and we run halfway down this corridor and we stop. And behind us, we heard the footsteps. And I was like, oh yeah, we heard big boot footsteps coming up behind us. And that was, at that time, I'm like, well, okay. And I booked it. I don't even know how far she was behind me, but I was out.
Dude, the footsteps.
The footsteps is
I'd have
what
been
got
so
us.
fast.
I was like, I think that's the fastest I've ever ran. And in the moment, it was just kind of like, are we really being chased? And we were laughing and we were running all at the same time. So that was more like a funny moment. Like, okay, this thing just chased us. But at Hinsdale, it was actually the very first time Beyond the Dimensions kind of filmed together. And it was Mike Hatcher and Jason Baker and myself. And we were at Hinsdale, and we were having some of the craziest experiences: footsteps, things rattling, things moving. A music box just started playing. And at one point, Mike went into the closet, which is notorious at Hinsdale, and he said he was going to scry. And while he was scrying, like he lit up. Weird. He didn't have like a K2 or anything on him, and Jason and I were filming him, and he just kind of like lit up. And I'm like, Mike, the K2 in your pocket's going off. And he's like, I don't have it. And he gets so focused on the mirror, and he's describing to us what he's seeing. And he's saying that his face is morphing and he sees horns come out of his head. And at that moment, in my camera, his entire face changed.
What?
I swear on his face.
In the camera.
Yes, in my camera. And Jason saw it too, because we had two different angles. His face changed. His eyes changed. And he had his head down and he looked up at me through the brows. And I was like, get out of the closet, get out of the closet, get out of the closet right now. And he, like, I grabbed him, Jason grabbed him, we pulled him out of the closet. We tried to take him downstairs. And he just said, like, the only thought that we all had is that he was like, he's like, I just wanted to kill you guys. I was like, okay, well, that's not good. We're in the middle of nowhere. So we ended up sitting in the living room, and we had some friends over at Wildwood Sanitarium, and Jason was kind of feeling a little awkward and didn't want to be there. So we called them, and we're in the living room telling them about what's going on. And the way that Hinsdale set up is the whole downstairs has windows. And I swear on everything, we're sitting there talking, and within seconds, you hear a loud bang, boom, 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 all the way around the house on all the windows. So we're like, somebody's outside. We run outside, we check it out, and there's nothing. There's no footprints, no nothing. So we go back in the house, and I ended up, Dan's a good friend of ours. So I messaged Dan, and I'm like, hey, it's really weird. You have cameras out there. Can you check them? You know, they were banging on all the windows, and we can't figure out who did it. And he sends back like a little laughing emoji, and he's like, you should check the windows again. There's grates on the outside of the windows. So the knocks came from inside the house. And at that point, we had Jason, I thought he was suffocating because he was in the middle of talking, and he just stopped and his eyes got really big, and he started like, and I'm like, okay, what's wrong? Breathe. Like, are you okay? And he said he felt like something cold go completely through him. And nobody wanted to sleep there. And without going too much into what happened after that, is there was slightly like a partial possession. So we said, we're done. We drove to Wildwood Sanitarium, which is another haunted location, actually stayed there. And I swore I was never going back. And I think I've been there like 5 or 6 times now, but that was probably the scariest, where I'm like, nope, not messing with this. I'm not messing with it. I'm done.
See, that happening that camera's got to be, that'd be like the highlight of anyone's career. And that's just like something that happened to you on a Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, it was creepy. And we even had stuff at home. I had these really weird dreams before and afterward. And Dan had told us that they were things that had actually happened on the land. Jason was driving home and saw something like in the back seat of his car before he got home. Yeah. We had one of the other girls was driving and saw a horned creature come at her through her windshield to where she drove home like this because it had freaked her out so bad. I mean, everybody there was affected in a very negative way. And actually all 6 of us eventually said that we were never going back.
Did it eventually stop, like the sightings like that?
It did. It did. It took a couple weeks because probably about a month later, we all got into a group text and we're like, okay, we're going back, right? We have unfinished business with this house. And we haven't all been back together, but we've all been back separately. So we're hoping.
I think that the hitchhiker effect would probably be probably the worst part of it, because bringing it home, I don't want that at all.
No, and especially with children. So I kind of have like this little ritual I do, which some people think is silly, but you know, if it works for you, it works for you.
Yeah, it's not silly.
Yeah, and I always wear black obsidian. It's just my crystal of choice, and it's what I wear. And when I leave a location, I always walk out backwards because, you know, if you're going to get jumped, nobody ever jumps you from the front. They always jump you from the back, right? So in my weird mind, I figure if I walk out backwards, you're less likely to jump me from the front. So I'm like, you stay here. Don't you come home. I make threats I can't keep. I'm like, if you come home, I will send you to hell. Like, I can't do that, but they don't know.
Yeah.
And it works for me. I surprisingly haven't had anything follow me home yet.
It'll work until you get a hold of these modern ghosts where everybody does MMA training. Then they'll welcome the front attack.
But you know, I used to box, so I used to train to fight. So if they want to take that one on,
you're gonna throw up your dukes like this.
Yeah, you're gonna see me fighting an invisible entity.
Ghost has cauliflower ears. Son of a bitch!
That'd make for good TV. You would watch
It would.
somebody box a
would.
ghost, right? $1 million idea.
Well, the guy named Boss is a Russian fighter, I think. He actually got into a fight with a ghost.
What?
Yeah, his name's Boss Rutan. He's a wrestler or a fighter, and it's not like WWE, but like an actual MMA. And he got into a fight with a ghost and was praying and slinging stuff.
Really?
Yeah, it's a thing.
No, was it like I'm assuming like a spiritual battle, or
He
was it?
swinging? He was swinging. I don't know. It wasn't there. Like in a. We're wrapping up anyway. I'll look it up. Fights ghost, but yeah, he's like yes, BA. I won't play it because but I'll show you the BAS RUTTN has amazing ghost story. I'll put like the screenshot up. But this, when you get a chance, listen to it because it's he's like, yes, I was playing every player I knew. He was coming at me. He was in the. Yeah, that dude. It's crazy.
What is? I'm gonna watch that after the show. You've got me interested.
You're having more fun on the show than I am. Like, this guy's nuts.
I'm like, he's giving me all kinds of good stuff to watch later.
Dude, I am so meta. It's not even funny. Like I'm in every pot. It's the reason when a podcast started, I started doing it. I had everybody on. I'd have people that wrangled cattle and stand-up comedians and people that saw Bigfoot like on the same week.
But see, that's good though, because you're catering to all kinds of different people.
Mm-hmm. And all the research is like, don't do that.
But it's good though. It works. Because I know, like for me, mine's a true crime podcast, but I called it Realm of Darkness so that I can cover anything that falls into that darkness. So you can do witchcraft, you can do sorcery, paranormal, true crime. And it works. People, for some reason, they think it's a good mixture of things.
That's sort of why I went with this.
Somebody's talking about my board.
Yeah, he said he's talking about the blackboard behind you had the lights flickering in it.
This one over here?
The one directly above the doll.
Oh, that actually is a picture from Salem of Mary Parker, who was a witch that was executed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, those are all Salem pictures. At first, I do have a black mirror, and I thought that he might have been talking about that.
Talking about. I thought that was a hallway. Okay, maybe they are talking about that.
Oh, this thing over here?
Yeah, oh. I thought that was just. I thought just an open door.
Oh no, that's just a shade.
Oh, I kept seeing people walk. I kept seeing people walk by it. I was like,
oh no, I'm on a second floor, and that's just a window.
Not really. I'm just messing with you.
Okay. I will say nobody should be walking past that unless they're flying.
There were 3 small children dressed in bonnets.
Oh, I guess I'm breaking my equipment out later.
I'm gonna break out a cigarette lighter and burn this house down.
I got sage over here. We could handle it.
What do you say? Here we go. The comments are behind mine talking about the black mirror.
Oh, yes, I do. I have a black mirror. Actually, I could probably grab it. It's one of the ones that I've practiced scrying into.
I think, he thought the shade was a black mirror.
Oh, if it was that big, I would have it covered just to be safe.
Before you go, what is scrying?
So that is where you you can do it into a mirror or water. I only have ever done it into a mirror. A friend of mine, my catcher, makes these black mirrors, and you sit in front of them with candles, and you kind of stare into your own eyes, but like through them at the same time. It's a weird way to describe it, but you kind of stare at yourself, but through yourself. And it kind of allows you to see, like, your face can morph into other faces, especially at like a location. Like, I've done it and I've seen an old man, and clearly I'm not an old man, but I was describing him, and he was a patient that was at this place. But it just kind of lets you, because mirrors are known as portals, gateways, open doors, and it's just another way of trying to physically see something on the other side from the other realm.
Yeah, it makes sense. I've heard of people doing it in the water before.
Yeah. I've never tried the water, but I do like the mirrors, because I like the ambiance of like the candles, and you can stare at yourself and you can start to see things. And it's a real quick way if you're done, because some people have seen some really scary things. You just close your eyes and it's over for the most part.
Like waking up from a dream.
Yeah, kind of. But you always have to make sure you close them. Some people don't know that. They're just like Ouija boards. You have to close them because,
God.
mirrors are known as portals.
If I ever did something like that, I would be the type to leave it open.
Oh.
It would look like I summoned the Marshmallow Man on Ghostbusters. What'd you do, Ray? What did you do?
And there's some locations like the Monroe house I told you about. They have about 4 or 5 different Ouija boards there. And I think people just use them and never really close them. So that place is, I've seen dolls move. I've heard voices. I've seen shadows there. It's crazy.
Okay, business idea. What if you did that? And that was just not allowed to close the Ouija board and you just bought an old house and
it could work. Do Ouija boards, do black mirrors, and then just random mirrors from antique shops.
Just playing with fire. That's a good way to get.
But it's a moneymaker. I mean, it is $1 million idea. And then you could do like $400 a night. That's what some locations, there you go.
You just get a bunch of teenagers hopped up on shrooms and go in there and just do everything you ever wanted to do.
Yeah.
With Ouija board and asking you questions.
When a lot of you could probably have investigators do it because a lot of these locations we have to sign waivers that we won't use those types of things. Because like I have a Ouija board, I have the black mirror, I have pendulums, all this stuff, and some places don't allow it. So if we had free reign, we'd be lining up to do that.
Out. Well, Ashley, it's been about an hour and a half, and I thank you for coming on. Thank Candy for setting it all up. Maybe I'll reach out to the rest of your team one of these days.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, that's kind of fun. I got into so many real life witnesses and the crazy people. You start messing with real life witnesses, you end up going to get a couple bad apples, and it's good to just be back up here and like just above the professional line, somebody with some skin in the game to talk about it with the actual microphone and not a phone camera.
Oh, yeah.
It feels good. It feels good. I've got the guy that wrote Blair Witch Project coming on next month. And
that's cool.
I just started reaching out to these guys that did documentaries. I went to, instead of Facebook, I went to IMDb.
Yeah.
And my quality of guests went way up. Imagine that.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah. I mean, if you're looking for someone good, I know my other teammate, Mike Hatcher, he's a executive producer for Paraflix, and he's done a lot in the field. Especially if you're looking paranormal. If not, I know a couple witches, depending on which route you want to go.
I'll take all of them. I'm doing 2 of these a week.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I know all kinds of people. I can send you all kinds of names. I know Reiki masters. I know sorcerers, vampires, all kinds of people.
You're going to want to close that Ouija board if you become a guest source for me. Like, goodbye.
I'm like, goodbye. Okay, goodbye.
Unsubscribe. Representative.
It reminds me of calling FedEx.
Do you have a website or anything you want to promote, or is it just what I said earlier?
Yeah, so I am on Instagram and TikTok, and it's just ashley.moreno4, like the number 4.
I'll put it up here. Is that it? Ashley.moreno?
Yep, that's right.
I spelled your name wrong in the thumbnail the first time I had to do it again. I'm dadgummit.
It's just more. No.
Yeah. More no. Yeah.
Yeah. More no. It's super easy that way.
Yeah. No. More no.
More no.
See if we can get this. All right. Get back to this. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks Ashley for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I loved it.
Yeah, this was fun. I needed it after the Saturday I had yesterday. And reminder, Tennessee Haunts and Legends Expo is free cat balls. First 60 customers. I think one of them's broke, so first 59 customers.
They're my favorite things to use.
Oh, they're so much fun. I thought I'm gonna put them in my house and try to make them and get scared if they don't.
Oh gosh.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Ashley, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much.
I want to have you on again. I don't know what we'll talk about, but I think we can find something.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I was trying to do that. I was trying to put these cat balls in my eyes. Okay, thanks everyone for watching.